Today, we are going to step into the twisted web of deceit as we explore the chilling true story of a woman named Teresa, who will stop at nothing to manipulate investigators in the aftermath of a heinous crime committed to her husband. Teresa and her husband Jim, once a financially secure couple, found their lives spiraling into chaos when Jim fell seriously ill, and Teresa suffered a series of injuries leading to the loss of their unborn child. Their struggle culminated in an eviction notice, only to take a horrifying turn when their home was engulfed in flames, with Jim's lifeless body discovered shortly after. Teresa was the first to be interrogated, and this is how it started.
Just hit me with it, guys. What do you think?
I don't like you being honest.
What do you think? Okay.
I don't like you being honest.
So what are you telling me? Are you thinking I killed my husband?
No, I'm just saying that you're not being totally honest. It's kind of like, I don't know if you remember me, I'm Detective Holcomb. Obviously,
I do.
you remember Detective Keener. Just wanted to talk to you once again about the events of last week dealing with this fire, okay? You've had a little bit of time to think about some things. I want you to kind of go over the events from last week dealing with this fire. I know, but I want you to go over them again for me. Okay.
I don't know anything about the fire.
Well, tell us again.
Start off in the morning time. What time did you wake up? That kind of stuff.
I don't know. It was we always woke up 6:30, 7 o'clock, drank our coffee together, talked. I don't know, husband and wife things. That's what you do before you get kids up. And I was going to go get a car, took my shower. He talked to the kids a little bit. Said he didn't feel well, but he'd been in bed for like 4 days. I mean, I can pull office records to show you he's worked like maybe 6, 7 days in 4 months. Anyway, long story short, he said his stomach was upset and he was gonna fix toast.
Teresa claimed that she had left her house no later than 8:30 that morning, and that her first stop was a Chick-fil-A down the road from her house. However, the fire chief had reported that the fire had started at around 9:15 that morning. What does not add up is that the Chick-fil-A had surveillance footage of Teresa in the drive-thru at 9:30, so why would it take her an hour to get there when it usually takes minutes?
Proposal or something like that, but we were trying to work with options.
This means she would have left her house moments after the fire started.
Refinance, or because of his health, just go ahead, try to sell it and downsize, and then everything was okay. But then my dad was going to loan us the money to go ahead and work out with Countrywide. And so that wasn't an issue. That would have been okay. And he knew that.
And then the detectives asked her about the life insurance policy.
What kind of life insurance policy did you have on
Honestly,
you yourself and your husband?
Me, my dad carries mine, and it's like, I think 150, 170 some thousand. His, I don't know. I told him that because people are people. And I am 23 years younger than him. And I didn't ever want that to be an issue because there's no amount of money in this world worth my husband. He was my life and I was his.
Well, I mean, you're portraying yourself as having a great marriage, that, you know, and I would consider a few arguments, you know, still could be great because everybody has arguments, but you're portraying yourself as having this great marriage. You're financial, you had problems, but you were working it out. And, you know, to be honest with you, we've been checking and we're not finding that. We're finding that your marriage was awful.
How is that? But I care.
We're not getting we're not getting the truth from you. You know, not all of it's
Because
the
it's
truth.
going to make him look like a bad person and he's not.
I mean, the truth, you know, is all you got.
I would go to jail before I let somebody know that that man would go off and about beat me and his son to death.
I talked to people that says he had a problem, that he was belligerent. He was belligerent at the office with you, that y'all came to almost blows at the office, that it was so bad. We've already talked to people. I'm familiar with that.
But I would go to jail before I would let somebody think bad of him because of that.
Well, right now, the only two people that knows what's going on is this detective and myself. And, you know, and all we're trying to do is get to the truth. And whether you're telling us lies to keep from the truth coming out, which is
I don't
It's all
want
we
him to
got.
look like a bad person.
well, the time frame you leaving is not going to make him look bad. It's making you look bad because you lied. You know what time the fire call comes in?
I have no clue.
Right around 9:30.
What?
Right around 9:30, and it's been burning probably, in that 20-minute range. So, right about the time you left is about the time that fire started.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's a way. I'm thinking that you have knowledge of what happened.
I
I
can
knew it was
tell,
going to happen.
I can tell you, no, I didn't know it was going to happen, but I know the last couple of weeks, he talked about wanting to die. He'd be better off dead. He was burdened.
So we asked you about that in the first interview.
And I told you, but I
go by.
but I told
That's
you-
why I take notes. 'Cause
But that's when I told you, my heart, when you asked, I said, my head, because of his illness,
the coroner asked
anything
you.
is possible.
The coroner asked
But
you.
my
has he
heart-
ever had-
He was sick, and he's like, I just,
You know what?
like I'm having a bad day, my God, I'd just be better off dead than to have things fed.
Let's take Jim out of the equation. Let's say that hadn't happened to him.
Okay, what floor?
In where the computer is, okay? Plain and simple, there's an accelerant. You left around 9:05. This fire call comes in at 9:30.
Fire's burned.
Somebody poured the
at least 20
accelerant,
minutes
and
before anybody.
there is no way that you left at 9:05 and he had time. You knew that there was either you poured the accelerant. I'm gonna be blunt. Either you poured the accelerant or he poured it, but you would have had to know about it. Plain and
You
simple.
had to know
Okay.
about it.
And
I
left
didn't
that
know
time.
about it. I vowed, called my dad, I was scheduled to meet him, I left.
We don't doubt that, and I'm not saying that.
And
I
like I
believe
said
that.
the other day, I want to sit here and tell you, in my heart, he would never do that.
Teresa immediately got defensive and even accused the investigators of accusing her of killing her husband. Let's see how they got her to crack.
I've answered you all.
Sure.
How many more affairs have I had just out of curiosity?
I know of two for sure.
Do you mind me asking who?
I don't mind you asking. I'm not going to tell you right now, but I can prove it. I can tell you that.
Really?
That's for sure.
One of them's 100% sure. The other one's 99.9%.
And I don't know if that includes the one that she said she admitted to. No.
Right. Now, well, I can prove
No, I didn't sleep with him. He was
knowledge of a fire.
We do believe that you have knowledge. You either said or you had knowledge that your husband was setting the fire. Plain and simple.
But I would have never let him do it.
Well, that's why you left. You knew he was doing it and you left.
See,
But I didn't. I was going to get a car because
understand.
we didn't have a car, and I had turned inland on Monday.
I understand.
I
I mean, it's a convenient time.
Yeah.
It didn't matter convenience. It had to be
Convenient
done.
time.
Right.
And that's the only time Robin could go.
I know. It was a convenient time to set the fire.
But I think
There's
that.
no convenient time for that.
But I think that your husband.
And
was
if
an
I thought for a
accident.
minute he was going to do it, I wouldn't have left him because I wouldn't let him do that. That's not.
Don't lie, then you'll say.
I'm not going to lie to you,
Then
but let's say this come back wrong.
That's
What happens
That's what a
if?
stipulated polygraph is. That I could use
I
it
know.
against you in court.
So what happens then?
We'll go from there. See what we have to do.
And they prosecute me for murder and take my kids.
I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope you don't lie.
This portion of the test is about to begin. Remain still. Did you start that fire?
No.
Did you plan with anyone to set that fire at your house?
No.
This concludes this portion of the exam. Remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. Like I told you before, I'm just a real direct guy. Been doing this for a long, long time.
I don't want you to be the other way.
Well, big problems with this test.
Okay.
And I think you knew there were going to be big problems with this test. I'm talking very, very big problems, okay? I told you before that I like to think I'm pretty good at reading people.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that I believe when you talk to me, it's that you loved your husband. I don't think you had any intention of killing your husband, but I'm absolutely positive you participated in starting that fire, okay? Now the problem, Teresa, is I can't fix that.
It later came out in that interrogation that Teresa did have an affair, and she also ended up changing her narrative, which led the detectives to scheduling her for a polygraph test to make sure she was telling the truth.
Well, let me tell you what to tell us, okay? Is the absolute truth.
And the truth is, I lit the candle in the bedroom. I lit the candle on the desk. I started the oven for him. I put the kids in the car, and I left. What happened after I left?
Well, let me tell you what I know. You started that fire. I know that. Absolutely, positively. Not just 100%. What did I tell you just a minute ago it was?
How can I start a fire when I'm not there?
Well, right here is your little office area. And your husband was actually found in the floor right here, kind of leaning against the bed right there. And this is where the vast majority of the fire was, but there was stuff poured across the living room about like that. And I'm guessing what you did is you used
I didn't pour
something.
anything.
Well, somebody
My
did.
kids were up, and
Your kids were in the car for at least 15 minutes while you were
but
back
they
in
were
the house.
in and out. But there was
They were
nothing
in the car
poured
for
in my
15
house.
minutes. Yeah, there was. There absolutely, positively was something
But I
poured in your
didn't
house.
pour anything
Well,
in my house.
That you
I can tell you.
every time we
Honey,
give
I'm
you
not
something.
trying to hide anything.
Well, of course you're trying to hide something. You just told me that you lied to him because you didn't want them to know he started the fire. Didn't you just tell me that? So you are indeed hiding stuff.
I'm
You got to
afraid
stop
he did.
lying, Teresa. You
Hey,
got
I'm
to be
afraid
honest.
he did start it, but I know I didn't start it.
I know you did because the test says that you did.
I lit the candles like he asked me to do, and I left.
So you aided. He did what he asked. You aided him in
I lit candles, and that was all I
committing his
did.
death. That's what you're saying to me.
Well, I lit candles, but I didn't accelerate anything. I didn't pour anything. And what he done after I left, I don't know.
Teresa just had a Freudian slip. Her unconscious mind had forced her to tell the truth as she was explaining the events of that morning. The detectives then came into the room to listen to her full story and present her with all the evidence they had.
You got 2 kids.
And I'm scared
And
to
that's what you
death
should
that
be
you guys are
concerned
going to
with.
blame this on me. And I know I didn't
think-
kill my husband.
I think you did, and you're not convincing me otherwise.
How do I convince you otherwise until
tell-
all this comes
Well,
back?
Right now, you've told me a pack of lies, and you might have a couple of bits of truth in that pack of lies. And the way you can convince me is telling me the truth. Okay.
What do you
And I
want to
don't
tell
think-
me? I burnt my house to kill my husband?
I want you to tell me the truth.
I did
It's not
tell you the
I
truth.
don't want to hear it.
I did tell you the truth. I lit the candles, I left the house,
Second interview.
and that was that.
That's the second interview.
I lit the candles, I left the house, and
that's
that
not
was
what you
that.
told- I can almost tell you with 100% certainty if I asked the fire marshal, was that there, he's going to say no. That's
Well, they've slung everything out.
I know they have.
And I can guarantee you I can
marshal's
find
job
it.
is he.
Tell me what I need to do, guys. Do I need to get an attorney?
That's if you want an attorney, then you can have one. I'm not
You
telling
tell me
I don't
what I
know.
need to do because I know I didn't kill my husband.
You need to tell him the truth. And
I
you haven't
have
done
told
that
him the
yet.
truth.
No, you haven't. You lie at every breath. At every
You tell
breath.
me what's the truth.
The police strongly suspect Teresa of drugging her husband to ensure he remained unconscious during a deliberately set fire. Her calculated actions, which included using an accelerant and strategically relocating her children's clothes, were bolstered by her children's accounts of her unusual behavior. They claimed that she had come back out of the house to take them to Chick-fil-A, but they both noticed black smoke from the rear entrance of the house. When they asked her about it, she had told them that she was burning old paper. Teresa's lawyers told her there was a substantial amount of evidence against her, ultimately leading to Teresa accepting a plea deal resulting in a life sentence with the chance of parole after 35 years, as her lawyers acknowledged the compelling evidence against her.